I had this advantage that I had a very limited but valuable literature that helped me focus and not wander in larger concepts. And this is also, I think this helped me a lot because it reduced somehow the array of references that I could have used. So I was somehow forced to be very specific and be very critical of the information that I had. And I believe this is one of the dangers, as in any research or project, to get lost a bit in the sea of references. But having a really big and clear statement, I think in my case was important. And for me, the statement and the argument was really what was the role of the architect, is the role of the architect in this self-managing society. Because by comparison to Belgium, me as a country where architects are not seen, the profession itself is not seen in the same way. So it really was important for me to realize what is then my position as an architect in my own context. Although I do work in Belgium now, it's really important, and it was at that point also, to clear up which are the tools to which we can actually contribute to this practice. Then, of course, because it was more of a strategy and the argument itself was not really specific, it was not about the site. So it became more of a study of a particular urban typology. So I mapped and I cataloged different, let's say, manifestations of the self-building practices in the scale of the city, in terms of urban plot, urban structure. And then I mapped it at the scale of the architecture which was produced, because although it might seem a bit hilarious to call it architecture, it was a form of adaptation that people were actually materializing. And then this gave birth to a catalog of interventions and of uses. So in a sense, that was the step where I realized, okay, this is where my project stands in terms of how these architectural typologies could be then bettered. The proposal itself, as I said, was more of a strategy. We started from the idea of a handbook, which was, let's say, which changed along the way. And it changed specifically, I think, because we, in the studio, we always ask this question, okay, what is actually the medium that people communicate through? And of course, the focus was that there should be something that could be materialized, such as a handbook, and this included the statements that are on the slide, for instance, having the typology that could be used for these people, that would help them improve their building practices, having a list of building elements, which was really something very grassroots, very visual. But then we, of course, thought that this could not be the end for such communication, for such an intention. The handbook then reduced itself at this idea of a module that could be used in different contexts. It was something very flexible. It was something that could have been modified. It was something very light in structure, and then which could have different uses. So again, here I mapped different typologies of homes that were usually due to needs of space or to inadaptations of the growing homes were extended or were modified. I took them as representative for this urban typology, and then I proposed different functions, different forms through which this module could be implemented. Then, of course, there was a part in which all of this module was actually taken piece by piece, and everything was explained in terms of which are the tools that could be used, how they are used, what are the quantities. So really, as this reference was given in the studio as well, quite often, like an IKEA manual, but which went a bit further. And then, of course, one important part was the idea of labor phases, because these people were doing this labor of the building labor by themselves. So what was really important was to be able to to transfer this information and to communicate this information to them quite clearly. Then it helped a lot because contrary to the fact that I'm presenting in a PowerPoint, we had to make a video last year. So what I'm showing now is actually the format of the booklet of actually stop motion frames that were part of a short video, which had the steps of building. So I think it depends also, and in my case, it depended a lot, again, the medium through which I had to communicate the project, because I have to know that I spent a lot of time in drawing all of these frames, which were, of course, part of the project, but finally they were really essential in transmitting what was the idea of the project itself. And then we looked at scenarios that were kind of going a bit further and were not only at the scale of the plot, but also at the scale of the community. So what could actually happen if you have people coming together, building, if this knowledge could actually improve the standard of life, not only for families or for individuals themselves, but also at the level of the community. And then basically imagining that there could be an array of let's say, forms of microeconomics, forms of workshops, of activities that could happen at the level of the street that could actually change the whole image, which is a bit of a chaotic and negligent image of this neighborhood in Bucharest. And finally, the whole idea was basically given a sort of larger image of this platform that could become sort of online communication platform. All of this is in the video, so the video with the name of the thesis is, as I said, on the internet, but it's much better explained there because it's in a sort of cartoonish way also explained how you could actually access that, how you could actually, as an individual, as a user, you could actually make use of that platform. But the conclusion was that really, and this was also important because it had an impact on me as well, on realizing what I could do, was that because people seem to rely more and more on these online resources in order to self-manage most of their everyday activities, we are so crafting and construction could benefit from that as well. So it was about giving also critical assessment and long-term foresight, which was through the lenses of the architects and the urbanists, that could be given to the communities in order to create these sustainable, more resilient communities in Bucharest. So yeah, I think that's basically the main idea of the project. I hope I didn't cross my time.
No, not at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic, really nice, and you see a very nice mixture of projects and the diversity of it between you two. Uh, Also between the last of Enver Peeters. Maybe you can stop sharing, Julia. Yes.
Yes.
Enver unfortunately cannot be here today, so I will read his statement and share screen to show his short video, which is unfortunately in Dutch because he was in the Dutch master. But it doesn't matter that much because with the statement and the images in the presentation, you can follow pretty well, I think, what he uh, wants to say to us. So the abstract, and I'm reading and quoting him now out loud, is dreaming is a precondition for achieving good reality. This master thesis consists of 3 projects on the theme oversized Charleroi. 3 carefully selected sites were studied, each with a specific form of underutilization. Each project was investigated in its own context, and the context varied in scale. The Vélodrome de Gilly was placed in a global context. The Parking du Moulin was placed in an urban context. The Université du Travail was considered at the level of the site. This creates a layered master thesis that responds to the micro, the meso, and the macro levels. Dare to dream. The projects consciously balance between theory and practice, dreaming about a more future-proof university, city, and world in general. Various current themes are addressed, such as densification, depletion of raw materials, use of space, social security, revaluation of heritage, social justice, and the size of our ecological footprint. Do not build. An architect is not a designer. What started with the 3 projects as a journey of discovery eventually became a rediscovery, a re-evaluation of the essential by removing the superfluous. The maximum recognition and use of the existing qualities and the minimal addition of the new infrastructure became the common thread throughout the thinking process. Doing almost nothing. Sometimes the more is more in less. Enver, Peeters. Now going to share the screen and hopefully it works with showing his presentation. Maybe somebody give me a hands up if it works.
Ontstaan vanuit de context. De context varieert.
Can you hear the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, it works.
Okay, great.
Bij in schaal. Vélodrome de Gilly wordt Vélodreaming, de wereld als context. Parking du Moulin wordt Parking du Monde, de stad als context. En Université du Travail wordt 3 buildings, 2 squares, 1 figure, de universiteit als context. Vélodreaming, de wereld als context. Vélodrome Gilly, een verlaten velodroom waarin mijn gedachten rondjes draaien. Op weg naar het paradijs? Of zijn we bezig het te verliezen? Adam en Eva in de 21ste eeuw. In een wereld vol verandering, bewustwording en verwaarlozing kunnen wij de toekomst nog maken of is ze al bepaald? Misschien wordt het een klaprozenveld, het symbool voor hoop, een pioniersplant, de eerste die op arme grond groeit, de eerste gezien op de restanten van een ander verhaal. Is het een ruïne aan het worden? Misschien wordt het een dennenbos, een teruggrijpen naar het mijnbouwverleden van de stad, toen het krakende dennenhout waarschuwde bij instortingsgevaar. Verleden wordt toekomst, gewild of ongewild. Misschien wordt het een moeras of een vluchtelingenkamp. Misschien wordt het een waterreservoir of een oase. Misschien wordt het een vuilnisbelt of een skatepark. Misschien wordt het een weiland of een fort. Misschien wordt het een representatie. Of misschien blijft het gewoon een velodroom. Parking du Monde, de stad als context. Een gigantisch parkeergebouw in het midden van de oude stad. Verlegen voor haar functie, verstopt achter een gevel zonder ogen. De parking is er, maar was er liever niet. Het trotse theater vlakbij sluit de deuren, na 100 jaar. Identiteit wordt overtroefd door anonimiteit. De stad verliest een symbool. Kan de parking de leemte vullen? De parking als theater, als decor. De auto als acteur. Wat heeft hij nodig om een theater van de stad te worden? Misschien heeft het een spiraaltrap als theatrale ontvangstruimte. Misschien staat er een paviljoen op het dak, rond zoals de spiralen. Misschien heeft het een theatraal doek, een canvas, de bovenste verdiepingen bedekkende. Of net niet. Misschien heeft het een gobo aan de achterzijde. De supertroeper van de parking. Backstage is ook een stage. Misschien heeft het een loge. Misschien heeft het een drive-in cinema, corona-veilig. Misschien heeft het een trompe-l'œil. Of blijft het niet meer dan een surrogaat, een vaag souvenir aan het theater? 3 buildings, 2 squares, 1 figure. De site als context. Dit project is pragmatischer dan de vorige 2. Université du Travail. Ooit 3 trotse vleugels. Ritmes met een onderlinge hiërarchie. Vandaag slechts 2 lamme vleugels. Haast onzichtbaar in de chaos. Mutatie doorheen de jaren. De eindeloze plint overdekt net niet het volledige binnengebied. 2 onverharde restruimtes blijven over. De eerste concepten waren opgebouwd rond intieme oases in de tense grid. Verdere uitpuring hiervan leidde tot 1 heldere beweging: het grotendeels wegnemen van de plint. Dit gebaar zou bepalend blijken voor het verdere verloop van het project. Door de plint weg te nemen worden de 2 onverharde restruimtes met elkaar verbonden. Zo ontstaan er opnieuw 3 heldere volumes. Deze doorgedreven vereenvoudiging werd het vertrekpunt voor het verdere proces. Eerst maakten enkele figuren hun intrede: een cirkel, een vierkant en een driehoek, als evenveel verwijzingen naar de ornamentiek in het gebouw. Het essay De Archipelstad, het samenvoegen van collectieven van Oswald Matthias Ungers, bleek een eye-opener. Door de 3 volumes te beschouwen als een archipel en niet als 3 aparte eilanden, ontstond een compleet nieuwe manier van kijken. Wat eerst niet meer was dan leegte, kon plots een zee van groen worden. Meteen werd het een plicht de eilandruimte maximaal in te zetten. Wat eerst louter dak was, werd vanzelf een tweede schoolplein, gespiegeld ten opzichte van het bestaande. Een verbindende steiger werd het logische sluitstuk. Verschillende varianten werden verkend. Het finale ontwerp werd uiteindelijk 1 duidelijke figuur, de 3 gebouwen en 2 pleinen verbindende. 19 kolommen van de weggenomen plint worden gerecupereerd en staan in schel contrast met de toegevoegde ronde, fijne kolommen. De rest van het project vertelt zichzelf. Wat begon bij de 3 projecten als een ontdekkingstocht, werd uiteindelijk een herontdekkingstocht. Een herwaardering van het essentiële door het overtollige weg te nemen. In minder zit soms meer.
And that was the presentation of Enver Peeters, who I thank from a distance. I would like to open the floor to Q&A or debate or questions. This is also your opportunity to ask questions who are to students who did it already, the thing that you are still ahead. So can ask them basically everything. And I would like to ask our Vice Dean of Internationalization, Martine de Maasenaar, to open the discussion and start the talk with maybe Iulia and Vincent can come also. The cameras again. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lilith, for giving me the platform next to our two finalists of last year, which indeed showed again their very critical and unusual approach towards the practice of architecture. And now they became emerging architects. My first question to them would be, did you find your way to the vault of practice? How did you do that? And where did you arrive today? And for the same reason, I really would like to point all students, but also specifically you, to the KU Leuven Connect page, where we would like to stay connected with you throughout your professional career in order to make the bridge between education and practice. But I'm very eager to hear how you find your way after graduating, actually.
Vincent, do you want to?
Go first.
Okay. Well, I think it's first of all, it's a very difficult year. So I won't lie. I've sent a lot of emails and I've received a lot of rejections. Just for kind of heads up for the people who will be searching. Well, it happens. It's absolutely normal. But then I think it's all for the good, because I ended up coming back in Belgium. I work in Brussels now. I'm in the CISN buildings, actually, as you can see behind me, the big towers. But yes, I do work in urban design and landscape architecture, and this was what I wanted from the beginning. It was more my field. But the idea being that, yes, there will be moments, I think, after you finish when you will probably have, or maybe not, it's just me having a breakdown. But no, it's really it's a tough year, I think, also.
But
Yeah,
the key
no.
question is actually, could you operate as an emerging architect urban planning the way you had dreamed it before? Or is like reality yet something else than you were like hoping for and envisioning it in envisioning during your studies?
For me, it is the case. I'm doing now what I have been learning this far. It sounds kind of utopian, maybe, but in my case, the kind of projects that we deal with and the kind of themes and competitions that we work on are exactly what I've been preparing for, at least, yes, this past year in Belgium. So I'm very lucky in that sense.
Okay, great to hear.
Yeah, I think for me, I can also totally agree that it was not, I think, the ideal moment to start searching for a job. And I was, in fact, really lucky and managed to find a small practice in Brussels that is focusing on small scale public projects right now, or is at this moment when they are starting to do public projects. And I'm actually quite quickly having a lot of responsibilities and sort of thrown into the water. So that was something that I couldn't imagine before, and I'm quite thankful for. But I also know that it's absolutely lucky, and that this year was not the easiest to start.
Okay, No, I just maybe want to introduce or to all the current students that actually also the Faculty of Architecture had like a really extensive list of internship network. So in the case you want to swap or you don't find immediately your way, please, we would be happy to guide you in your further church or church for church. Oh, search for yeah the office that fits best for you, or even the research practice. So. That's what I want to really communicate to all current students. Please keep in touch through the new wonderful platform that KU Leuven developed, the KU Leuven Connect platform. And yeah, we would be very happy to follow your career. Maybe we can offer you at some point a platform as we do today with you. I invite you for some lectures, for some as a jury member. So yeah, that's what I really want to take your attention for to all students.
Okay.
Maybe we give the floor to the students now to give them the opportunity to pose their specific questions to these young architects, urban planners.
Yeah, makes sense. They are not totally numbed with all the information they got today. There was a whole day of studio presentations, Iulia and Vincent, of the second semester, and a lot of information already in a lot of heads. But it's so nice to have you to see actually outcomes of studios and not only promises of studios. We thought we have to wrap this up with actually work done. And they were beautiful examples. So we could also, time-wise, this was about our time that we were supposed to end. So maybe if there are no pressing questions, we should call it the afternoon for this part and wrap it up. Yes, I don't think much more is coming. So then that leaves me to thank you so much for your time and your preparation for these presentations, Iulia and Vincent. Thank you for being with us. As Martin says, stay in touch with us and follow also the programs that we are having. Speaking of that, so we have a break now, but we continue the program at 5:30 with, I think, a fantastic lecture in the engagement of legacy with a theme of contested legacy. So Britt Baye from London is going to speak tonight, and I think it will be a super interesting lecture. So please join again at 5:30 until about 7. This is within the Going Public Lecture Series, number 22. We used to have them on the Wednesday evenings as today, but we are switching as of basically already tomorrow to the Thursday. So tomorrow we have program as well, and from then on all the lectures are going to take place on the Thursday evenings from 5:30 till 7. So stay tuned, follow the program on the blog, that's the easiest way. But even more convenient is to sign up for the newsletter, in which you get all the information on the lectures, program, publications, and exhibitions. If you sign up to the newsletter, which is on the blog, and I put in the chat this morning. The recordings of today you can find from tomorrow onwards on the blog. As said, you have to make your studio choices for tomorrow night, and I think that's it for now. Hope I didn't forget a lot. See you tonight and next week, and hopefully pretty soon. Okay, bye bye. And thank you all so much, all the tutors, all the students, for being here today and staying out of, I heard Brussels have a beautiful sun and snow. So to stick inside will have been quite tough as well, but hopefully the content, the food was enough to keep you interested all the time. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Success with all your choices to be made.
Definitely.